Our next speaker is certainly no stranger to this group. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as I travel across the state, we can talk about weather, we can talk about crops, we can talk about whatever, but invariably, for a lot of our farmers, it comes back to health insurance and the cost of health insurance and the devastation that it is wreaking on the incomes of many of our farm families across this state. You know, if you're under an employer, if you're an employer group, or you've got a Medicare card, or you're in the Affordable Care Act and you get a subsidy, you don't feel it so bad. But if you're in a self-employed business out there and you don't qualify for a subsidy and your health insurance policy was snatched from you, those grandfathered policies were discontinued, you're suffering. I know a board member right now that was asked to pay $3,800 a month for him and a family of 4 people with a $12,000 deductible. Now, Farm Bureau members, that's $58,000 that family's got to pay before they ever have access to their health insurance. We're trying to do something about it. And our next speaker has been a strong advocate for us in that effort with our association health plan effort in this state. Now, we at Farm Bureau, and many of you have heard me say before, we're moving forward with what we call our MIWA, our multiple employer welfare arrangement. That's moving forward. But we wanted to expand that. And our next speaker tried to help us, and he was an advocate for that in the North Carolina General Assembly. Our next speaker is Representative David Lewis. He's currently serving his 8th term in the North Carolina House. He represents Harnett County. Representative Lewis serves as chairman of the Powerful Rules Committee, and that's the committee, ladies and gentlemen, that determines what legislation moves through the House of Representatives, controls the flow of legislation. He has been instrumental not only in health insurance, but in many issues that go through the House. David Lewis has been a stalwart there with Farm Bureau. When he's not working in the legislative building, Chairman Lewis manages his family's farm down in Dunn. I've been there on several occasions, got quite a farming operation. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this morning that we are fortunate, and it is invaluable to this organization to have a friend like David Lewis. Please join me in welcoming our friend, Representative David Lewis. David.
Good morning. Like you, I am a farmer and I am an optimist. I will start out sharing a story or two with you that I hope will bring a smile to your face. You know, farming is about opportunity. It's about opportunity for us, but it's also about opportunity in bettering oneself for those that work with us on our farms. And I'd like to tell you a story. Back in 1985, Brent, we hired this young man. His name was Wayne, and we hired him to help us barn tobacco. And back then we used one of those pull type tobacco harvesters to go through the field where the people rode on it and they cropped. Well, if you got behind in your cropping or something else went wrong, our code, instead of saying stop, we say whoa, whoa. You know, I guess it goes back to the mules, Jimmy. You know, way back when. But if you got behind, you'd holler whoa. Well, Wayne hollered whoa 57 times on his first row, so Wayne got the nickname Whoa for the rest of the time that he worked with us. But Whoa was an ambitious young man. He came to the farm and he had a set goal. His goal was to earn enough money that summer to buy himself a pickup truck with an AM/FM cassette player and an air conditioner. Now there's a few in this room, including Senator Jackson's staff and my staff, who don't know that cars used to come without air conditioning from time to time. And you could buy them and you'd mount them on the dash, you kind of kick it, but long time ago. Well, anyway, Wayne's goal was to buy that truck. Whoa's goal. So he worked hard. And he kind of had a one-track mind. That's okay. Because every day he talked about that truck, going to buy that truck, AM/FM, air conditioning. Every day he talked about it. Well, 2 or 3 weeks pass, he gets his paycheck. Sure enough, rolls up on his own truck. It was the oldest functioning Ford pickup I've ever actually seen, but it was his truck, and he was proud of that truck. And that was success for Wayne. So then the next thing happened, he's got to get in the radio, because so then all we talked about was the radio. Go and get the radio. Sure enough, about another week and a half, 2 weeks passes, get paid again, shows up, got a radio, wants everybody to go look at it, ride with him in his truck, listen to the radio. Air conditioning though, that was a little bit more of a struggle, because I know what the air conditioning costs, and it's more than he paid for the truck. So he worked. It, June slipped over into July, and July slipped over into August, and it started getting close to September. He showed up one Monday morning, had the biggest smile on his face he's ever seen. He said, "Y'all got to come see my truck. I got me an air conditioner in my truck." And sure enough, went over there and looked. And my word of honor, he had cut a hole in the back glass of that window of his the back glasses of his truck, taken the window unit out of his house, borrowed the Honda generator from the shop. But you know what? It would cool that truck down. It would. But there's just a lot of stories I can tell you about Wayne. But Wayne was an optimist, and Wayne kept his eye on the prize. And Wayne always wanted to better himself, just like the rest of us here do. I can remember Wayne decided he was going to get into the business of selling Great Dane pups. Now, you know what a Great Dane is. Those are great big old, those are big dogs. And the dog actually, ate more than Wayne did. So I don't, but he talked about it every day. He was going to breed these Great Dane pups. Breed these Great Danes and sell these pups. So once again, Wayne, every day we're trying to rack the back. All he talks about is Great Dane pups every day. So sure enough, saved up 2 or 3 checks, bought his first Great Dane, told us how he built the pen in his yard for him, and keeps on talking about it. Saves up 2 or 3 more weeks. Buys his second Great Dane. Oh, he is in business now. And he wants us to come see his success, his enterprise that he is going to make all this money on selling these pups. So sure enough, my uncle and I carried him home one day and went over there and looked at the nice looking pen he had built. And sure enough, he had 2 of the finest looking male Great Dane dogs that I'd ever seen. So I say all that to say that I am an optimist, just like Woe. But just like Woe, I don't do everything quite right. Now, you heard your great president tell you what a great job Senator Jackson and Representative Dixon did on the Farm Act, and then he told you as kindly as he could about my huge failure to get your health care plan passed.
That was a tougher lip. That was a harder lip.
I do want to talk just a little bit, in all seriousness, about advocating for the Association Health Plan. The North Carolina Farm Bureau came to me with the idea this past year that our state could open up and provide access to a product and a service that would help people get the health care that they needed. We had model legislation that we looked to. We looked to the legislation that passed in Iowa, led by the Farm Bureau, and crafted what I thought was a pretty sound bill. The organization had to have membership, because see, membership is another word for access. It had to have membership in all 100 counties. Certainly Farm Bureau would qualify that. It had to have a solid financial track record. Again, Farm Bureau would qualify. It would fit those requirements. And frankly, we worked hard. Here's what I've learned in my years in the General Assembly. I really thought when I first went up there that everything would be, there'd be absolute rights and absolute wrongs. and that it would be great ideological debate where hearts and minds were swung. And what I've come to learn is that all 170 people that have the privilege of serving up there want to do the right thing. They want to do what they believe to be what their people who sent them up there want them to do. And the reason that and it did get through the Senate, but the reason that this very important product and service that will expand healthcare access for people in this room and across the state didn't get through is that I didn't do a good enough job in the House of trying to reassure my colleagues that I wasn't trying to fight against the Affordable Care Act. I wasn't criticizing the Affordable Care Act. I wasn't trying to say that there's not some good things that have come from that. But in the end, folks will often stick with what they know, and there were folks that had questions. What are you going to do with folks that have pre-existing conditions? What are you going to do? And I felt like through your Farm Bureau team, we had good answers to that. But we just need to give it another shot. We need to do a better job. I need to do a better job of educating the folks that I serve with about how important it is that we continue to put options out there and we continue to put things in place that expand access to and the ability to pay for the access to health care. We will get to the point where we understand that treating people at the emergency room is the most expensive way to pay for health care. We will get to the point where we understand through a primary care health model that it costs less money overall to keep people well than to treat them when they're sick. We will get to the point where we can have open and honest conversations. I know I need to lose some weight. I'll be more healthy if I lose weight. I'll live longer if I lose weight. The risk of me having a heart attack or to develop diabetes goes down if I lose weight. That kind of thinking is where we have to get to in the delivery of healthcare. Healthcare has got to become focused on wellness, and a model like the association plans that we worked on will help us get there, because we'll be able to pay folks, to pay doctors to help keep folks well. Association health plans are a common sense approach to health insurance coverage for a population that all too often falls through the cracks or simply cannot afford to obtain traditional health insurance. There's a lot of talk about what Congress may or may not do with making changes to the Affordable Care Act. I just want you to know that I'm not willing to wait for them to decide. With the help of your good team, and my members, my friends have already spoken about what a great team of representation you have in the General Assembly, we will continue to work to move this ball forward. You have my commitment that I will continue to work on this so that our farmers and our farm families have access to affordable health care. I want to thank you for all you do to make our state great. I want to thank you for those of you that came from the 86 counties, is that right, who took time to be here today. I know there are many other places that you could be. I'm sure your phones have rang with folks that have a question about where a certain thing was put, and they're just trying to get it worked out. And I know that it is a sacrifice for you to be here, but I just want you to know that it matters. It matters that you show up, and it matters that you lend your face and your voice and your individual story to the collective concerns of advancing agriculture in the state. My friend Jimmy Dixon used this line last time, but I don't close a speech without saying it now. Agriculture is not a nuisance, it's a blessing. Thank you.